Everybody, it's Anthony Brogdon, your main man on the one and twos. I'm jamming. Today, I got a lady on the channel she's a good looking lady, first of all.
Thank you.
Oh my God. And she's excited. And as I'm excited to get you this good history.
Yes.
See, what happens here on the channel, I find these people somehow, and I invite them to come on the channel. And like she said, okay, I know she vetted me. You know, you got to check me out and all that. So she vetted me and said, hey, I like what my man is doing.
That's right.
And so here we are. I'm telling you, I give it to you straight, no chaser. I let the people do the talking. I'm going to intoxicate your mind.
That's right.
Them with this history, and it's all facets. Did you see the one I did with the guy out of South Africa who said apartheid wasn't nothing more than Jim Crow?
That's right.
That same thing. We just looked at it differently. Boom,
yes.
Watch that one on the channel. Did you see the one I did with the lady who she's like wrote about Black love here in America and what Black women have been through since slavery? See, because check it out. Since Black women are so gorgeous and so beautiful, so tonight, so all them other good adjectives and adverbs and stuff like that, them guys couldn't keep their hands off of them and kept doing it over and over again. She talks about what women have gone through and the trauma. Watch that video. I got a guy on the channel out of Charleston, South Carolina, on that same note of the enslaver getting with the Black women. There's a whole society of light-skinned Black guys that you can't tell the difference. And he's one of them. And he lives, but he works at a historical site that used to be a slave auction.
Wow.
And when you look at this dude, you have no way of knowing. Straight hair, gray, maybe a little feature here and there. He says this is all throughout his family and throughout that area. Watch that video. Did you see the one I did? Check it out. There were a bunch of slaves, as we understand, in that Washington, D.C. area. Washington, D.C. had slavery. So these people were so, I don't know, bad, let's say, bad in a good way, innovative, smart, desiring of their freedom, that they chartered a boat. They chartered a boat that came and got them. They got to the spot, got in the water. Uncle Tom, Black guy, kind of turtled on them. But nonetheless, they would have got away, but the wind was not in their honor. They got out in the water, couldn't float no further. The next day, the wind picked up, but so did the racists. They were like, hey, my slave ain't here. Where my slave at? Where my name? They went around the little community and said, oh, there must be a big escape. And they caught them.
Wow.
It's called, I forgot what it's called. It's got a name to it. But it was about 70 of them that escaped in one night. What about this one? There's a Black guy out of that South Carolina region, a dude by the name of Robert Smalls. Robert Smalls, bad dude. He figured out, hey, I'm gonna get my freedom. So he's working on this Confederate ship, right? And him and some other Black people, and they made him do that. So they working on the ship, helping sell things around and what have you. My man is so intuitive. He figures out how to sail the waters and get past the white guards and all that. One night, and he had told his family, hey, meet me at the dock. I'm hijacking this boat. So on and so forth. The white people get off the boat. He get on it, sail away, go pick up his family, and make it to freedom.
Wow.
Robert Smalls. Watch that video.
Right.
Oh, I'm jamming here. I'm telling you, I'm coming up with all these stories. It's some good stuff. And you really gonna like this lady. So hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations. It's free. It don't cost no information. We don't add nothing, no information. It just let me know you like me because I like you already. And ain't nothing you can do about it because you're watching me. And I can feel it, and it uplifts me knowing that there are people who kind of like what I do.
Yes.
This is my mission, everybody. Hit the like button on this video because you're going to like what she's saying. No doubt about it. Hit the notifications bells when the new videos come up. And I'm trying to do 4 or 5 of them a week. Not every day or nothing like that. I stagger it. It gets on my heart. I'm releasing one. Could be in the middle of the night. But I want to tell you this information. And hit that notifications bell for what, like I say, when the videos come up, you get a ding, a shock, or something. One lady, she sent me a message. She said, I got yours timed to some music that I like. So when I hear the music, I know it's you.
Oh,
like, ooh, that's pretty good. And do this, my friends. Tell somebody about strong inspirations. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't be running around there. You all out there telling everybody all this information. They're like, dang, he must be a avid reader. And you're not reading it, you're watching it on strong inspirations. Don't do that. Let it just copy the link and share it on your social media and all that stuff. Do that, my friends. And then on my own personal tip, as you might know, I'm a filmmaker and I'm serious about my game. It took me 3 years to do this documentary on the rise of Black business in America. How about this tidbit? There were slaves, and I don't say enslaved. I just can't say that right. But you know, when I don't mean no disrespect. Slaves who owned businesses. I chronicle their name, how wealthy they got, and some of them were wealthy, and how they used the money to buy their freedom, and so much more in my film. It's streaming on Amazon. I took it another step and I wrote this book. It's called Black Business Book. It's got 20 of them slave-owned businesses and another 200 Black-owned businesses. Wow. All the way slaves gained their freedom. Did you know that there were some who sued for it and won? Little known fact in my book. And I talk about what the government attempted to do to help Black people. You know, there was always some corruption that went down because you got to funnel it down to the people on the grassroots, and they didn't like that. But nonetheless, it was some efforts. I tell you what those were in my book. Now, Black Business Book. Get your copy of that today. All this you can learn about easily enough on my website, which is businessintheblack.net. Just go there, my friends, and lend some support. How about this? I don't even say this often, but I'm inclined to say it right now. You watch this show for free. If you want to, donate a few dollars. Mm-hmm. Go to the website. Don't, whatever it is. I ain't gonna laugh at $5. That's gas money. That's a gallon. that's a gallon of gas, everybody. Come on now, because I'm gonna keep giving it to you. We ain't stopping. And it's getting stronger and stronger every day, like with this guest here. So you can do that. Also, check me out on my Twitter, A Strong Dream. That's my Twitter. And on Facebook, I got all them handles, pages, Business in the Black, Black Business Book, Strong Inspirations, all pages on my Facebook. And again, all this is chronicled on the website, businessintheblack.net. So if you want to do that. Now, lastly, you hear me use this term strong a lot. Strong is my favorite word. I love the word strong. I've been using it a long time, and I think I'm going to take it to my grave. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to my guest today. She's a strong soul sister. Watch out. Come on now, introduce yourself. Thank you for being on Strong Inspirations.
Hello, everybody. I'm Marion Allen, and I live over here, down here, or around here in Laurel, Mississippi. Yes, there is some Black people here in Laurel. I know you guys are probably watching that HGTV program about my hometown, and you rarely see any Black people being portrayed on that show where they're rehabbing homes here in Jones County. But I am the executive director of what is known as the Laurel Jones County Black History Museum and Arts.
I love it. Okay, so before, what it is, she matched me, didn't she? Right? Come on. So let me ask you this: where were you born there? Where were you born?
Yes, I was born here in Laurel, Mississippi. I'm a graduate of Tougaloo College, over in Tougaloo out of Jackson, Mississippi. And then I forward myself on to the great state of Minnesota, where I received my graduate degree in social work. And then I eventually came back home to Mississippi after my mother got ill, of course. So you found your way back and just continue to work here out in the field of social work.
Okay, let me ask you this. Where is Laurel? Let's talk about this. I never heard of. Where are you? Where's the city located?
Laurel is 30 miles. If you've ever heard of the University of Southern Mississippi,
yeah, I think so.
USM, we're 30 miles from Southern Mississippi down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Okay. And our capital is Jackson, Mississippi, where Mr. Lalumba is the mayor over there in Jackson. His father used to be the mayor at one time. Yeah. And now we're about 60 miles from Jackson, which is the capital of Mississippi.
Okay. And it's a small town. Is it on the water? Is it water?
No,
there?
We're not beach. We're about, I would say, an hour and a half from the Gulf Coast. So you're speaking of the beach, which is Gulfport, Mississippi. We're about an hour and a half from the beach line.
What made that city be a city? I mean, is there some kind of industry down there? Is it rural? Yes, that kind of thing?
Started, we had some Northerners come from up north to come down south to start a business called Masonite, which is a lumber mill. So the lumber mill and the pine trees here in Laurel, Mississippi is how Laurel got formulated from the mill called Masonite Incorporations, which even today they still are in business, but they initially started out making like paneling. You've probably seen paneling in homes and things like that.
Okay,
so
okay.
Making what's known as compressed paneling for homes, and now they make doors and windows and things of that nature.
Okay, I think I heard of. Now, is there a black side and a white side of town?
Yes, still there is a definite, you can tell about the railroad tracks. So there's still a black side and a white side of town, even though we have a black mayor and we have 4 sitting black council people, but the town is majority black, but the blacks here in Laurel still on the bottom.
When you say, what is the black side of town called?
The black side of town is called the Queensbury community, where I'm from. You have the South Side, you have Kingston, and then uptown, as they say, downtown Laurel, and on out towards 16th Avenue is the white side of town. Even though there are some black people sprinkled in through all of those locations, but you can just draw a line when they did the redlining. You can definitely draw a line and see where black people are.
Did you go to an all-black school, grade school growing up, high school, grade school, that kind of thing?
Growing up, my elementary school, 1 through 6, which was the famous Negro school that the white man started, the Gardners and the Masonite gentlemen, they started a Negro school called Oak Park School, vocational school. So that was the black high school at that time. And when I came up, it was 1 through 6. And then after, of course, 1971, when integration took place, then we had to go to the white school. We had to integrate.
Did you have to fight when you got there?
Well, I didn't. I was just a couple of years old. But there was some fights. There was a walkout. So they have archive videos where the black students walked out. And at that time, my brother was in junior high. And I remember him fighting in the schools. The students, because of course he was called a nigger.
You ever been called a nigger, man?
By a nigger?
Yeah, but he said it with love, baby.
No, but not by white people. No.
Oh, really?
I've never. I can't say that I've experienced that. Oh, well, yes, I can, because one time we were walking with the Dr. Martin Luther King of the Pine Belt Committee over in a town called Leakesville, Mississippi. We were doing a march, and of course, those gentlemen on their motorcycles and with their rebel flags, they got in front of the marching crew and passing up and down the road, hollering "niggers, niggers!"
Really?
And, yes, I mean, that was like 3 years ago. That wasn't long ago that this type of stuff still happens. People still ride around and call you a nigger out the window. Of course, they're passing by, but still those words still hurt.
What? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna ask you personally then. You got your masters, you this, that, you that. If somebody call you a nigga, why would that hurt when you know you're not one? You know what I
Well,
mean?
because it takes you back to, like me being a historian, it takes me back to the reflection of my ancestors who had to actually experience that and go through those things. So when you're walking in the shoes of others, when you hear those
I
words,
hear
for
you.
me, when I hear that word, it rings a bell for me because now I can imagine how they felt.
I got you. I love it. I got you.
Yes, how they
Okay,
felt.
let's flip the script then. Maybe you might know this one. What do black people call white people down there?
They call them rednecks.
Does that hurt their feelings?
Probably. They call them rednecks, crackers. So those are the words that are used down south for white people.
Have you
And
seen? Go ahead.
Dixie Mafia.
Have you seen KKK?
I haven't. I have not. I have never seen any KKK. No, sir. Because
Do you?
I'm 56.
Yeah. But they got to still be around. The KKK ain't gone
Oh
nowhere to
yeah,
some
they're
extent.
not dead. They're just disguised on a judge's robes, police armor.
Yeah.
Uh, this story that I did down here in reference to getting a historical marker for a man named John Hartfield who was lynched in 1919. And the reason I was able to come across this story was because a white gentleman called me and gave me the actual lynching pictures. So that sparked my interest to research this matter, and so I researched it. And I when I researched it, there's a movie out called 100 Years from Mississippi, which is seen through the eyes of a 100-year-old lady who fled Mississippi, Ellisville, Mississippi, with her mother and siblings because the dad left the night before on the train because they were going to be lynched. John Hartfield and her dad, Mr. Lane. So that movie showed me that this was really true. So when you go on Amazon, you can find 100 Years from Mississippi. And I was very instrumental recently. I got a historical marker to be placed down in Ellisville, Mississippi, about the lynching of John Hartfield. He was captured. He was chased for several days throughout Jones County. And when they captured him, of course, they shot him, carried him to the doctor, announced in the newspapers that they were going to have a lynching at 5 o'clock. So they announced it that he was going to be lynched on this particular day. So he was lynched. He was shot. When his body fell to the ground, they cut off his body parts and then they set him afire. And of course, the reason why this happened was allegedly he raped a white lady.
Wow. Let me go back to you just a second after that one. How did your family get there? Where's the plantation at in your family?
Well,
You
my
know
my
that.
my mother is from a little town called Oakville, Mississippi, and my dad is from Columbia, Mississippi, which he was from a community called Brusher Creek. And so there wasn't physically plantations there, but they did work, like you say, sharecropping and picking cotton and all of those things. But I did when I attended Tougaloo College. Tougaloo College was a plantation, and it was called
Really?
the Bodie. Yeah, it was called the Bodie Plantation. Tougaloo College sits on the grounds of a plantation.
Oh my
It was
God.
established in 1869.
How about another personal one? Did your father or your grandfather get an education?
Yes, my father graduated from the historical black high school I told you about,
Oh,
Oak Park
really?
High School. Yes, and my mother graduated from the Prentice Institute. So my dad was born in 1938 and my mom was born in 1941. So they did get a formalized education. And my dad went on to be the first black here in Jones County to work at what at that time was called Transcontinental Pipe and Gas, which was natural gas. So he was the first black to get out there and integrate this company. And of course, as he tells the story, he's gone on now. But he was called nigger. Nigger, what you doing out here? Nigger, this is our job. And Daddy said he told the one white man today that one day when he just got tired of being called a nigga, he said, well, meet this nigga over by the car. So he walked over to my dad's car. My dad reached in his glove box and got his pistol out and say, okay, this is the last day that I'm going to be called nigga by you. And so from that day, as Daddy told the story, from that day to evermore, to Daddy retired, he never had another problem out of that white gentleman. Once he stood up and showed him his gun and let him know, this nigga, I won't be called that anymore. I'm here to get my work and pay just like you and take care of my family. So my dad was the very first Black person to go out there. And so that took bravery back then, because
I'm sure
the gentleman that called him was one of his high school classmates. He worked at the unemployment office. And so they knew that they were looking for a Black person. So this man knew Daddy had a high school education. He knew my daddy had an even temperament. He was working at that time what was called the Bailey Lumber Company. Like we talked about the Masonite Lumber Company. We also had the Bailey Lumber Company, which where the mall sits now. That's why it's called the Sawmill Square Mall. Okay. So when called my dad to go over there for the interview, they hired Daddy, and he worked there for 32 years.
Love it. Did your grandfather get an education?
No, my grandfather, both of my grandfathers, they went through the military. My mother's father was in World War I, and my dad's dad was in World War II. So that was their education by going through the military. And of course, you know that they were called niggers.
When you grew up, did you think white people were better than you?
No, because my mother never led us to believe that. She taught us that we were just as good as the next person. So we never had to, I have 5 brothers. We never had to, as people say, you know, they sing this song, I come from a poor family, but the Lord been good to me. The Lord been good to me, but I didn't come from a poor family. Now, if I was poor, I realized that I was poor, because people always, even today, people tell me, your parents, they did well for you guys. And, you know, people, I didn't know. You didn't know that people were looking at you saying, I wish I was part of that family. I didn't,
really?
You know, I didn't know that. My mom and dad, like I said, they worked. My mom worked in the chicken porcheries. My mom worked in the Head Start. She worked for the kids with disabilities. At one point, she had her own little daycare. But as she said, the people didn't want to pay you, so she had to go back to work in the public sector, taking care of kids with disabilities. But I never realized that there was a money problem. Just like when my parents died, my mom died in 2011, and my dad died in 2019. And when they left this world, they had acquired 5 pieces of property, 5 homes, so that their children and children's children could be blessed.
I love it.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. In your town, I'm trying to get a visual. You might grew up in a normal house, but there were some houses that looked like shacks that I mean, they look like they could have been the slate, like cabins. Does it have that kind of appeal?
When we lived on a street called Elm, ELM Street, Elm Street, it was called what they call a shotgun house. In other words, you could stand on the front porch and shoot a shotgun straight through the house. Now, coming up, I can remember that house, which was like a shack that you're saying. So then I can remember that house. But as far as when my parents bring it up, we've lived in, let's see, we lived on Elm, we lived on Flora Avenue. Then we moved to the Queensbury community, which was the community like I talk about when they redlined us. But the community was full of teachers and educators and principals. So that particular community, all of the people around you were educators, even though my parents were blue collar workers, but still my neighbors were people. The Peppers, Mr. Pepper was a principal, Miss Peppers was a teacher, Mr. Musgrove was in the Church of God in Christ, a bishop. And you go on down the street with the Joneses, the Ellises, all those people are in education. So even though we were a blue collar family, we still lived amongst people who were educators. Even on the corner, I can remember, even on the corner, you might have remembered the case of Cheney, Goodman, and Swarner, who got killed. They got killed coming down here to register people to vote. So Cheney's father,
That's
Mr.
them
Ben,
two white guys and the black guy?
that's right, Cheney.
Okay.
Cheney's father, Mr. Ben Cheney, lived right on our corner.
And that's the black guy.
Yes, the black guy's father lived on the corner with his second wife, right on the corner where he was a carpenter. So his dad actually lived on our corner.
Did you know not to go where the white people went at when it got dark or any of that kind of thing?
No, I wasn't, but I can remember people saying that. I can remember people saying that by a certain time of night, don't be downtown. Like say downtown, like where I'm sitting right now is 2 minutes from me right now. So you were told don't go downtown, don't be down there after dark, because all of that community was white. Now, what was going to happen to you? I don't know, but we can imagine what was going to happen to you.
Really?
Yes.
Did you ever play with a white kid growing up?
No, my community was all black. All black. I didn't see a white child until I went to junior high school.
But you can imagine they had more than you had.
Yes. Yes, you can imagine that they had more. We had white teachers, but as far as, even though integration had taken place, there were no white students in my elementary school.
Yeah. When we talk about some of the stories that happened in your town, are there stories of the injustice, going to the courthouse and the things that happen to Black people?
Yes, one particular story that this past Mother's Day, I made sure that I went downtown Laurel to commemorate him. The gentleman was named Mr. McGee, Mr. Willie McGee. So people, the book is called, well, we call the book The Lynching of Willie McGee. But Willie McGee in 1945 was accused of raping a white lady, Miss Hawkins. So, but the Black side of town tells you that Mr. McGee and Miss Hawkins, they were lovers. Her husband would be out of town working a lot. And so the story goes that she said he climbed through the window and the baby was in there. The husband, mind you, was in the next room, but allegedly he had a knife to her neck and he raped her. So now Mr. McGee stayed in this trial went on for years. The trial went on because a lot of people got involved. Like even Albert Einstein wrote a letter. Even Paul Robeson wrote a letter. Even Josephine Baker wrote. As a matter of fact, Josephine Baker paid for his funeral. But after all of these trials and got a lawyer from New York that came down to defend him, but he had a lawyer, Mr. Schwarzenegger, from the town, of course, your public defender. But eventually they electrocuted Mr. McGee in the courthouse, downtown Laurel. They pulled the what was known as the roving electric chair. This electric chair went around from town to town, and this is how they executed people. They put the chair in the center mass of the courthouse. It even was played on the radio station. You have, WAML radio station broadcast this electrocution. I mean, he was calling it as if it was a football game. Well, we got about 10 more minutes left today. There'll be no more Willie McGee. And you can even hear when the amps of the generator was gearing up. It's going, winding. You hear the amps of the generator going and going and going. Then after they killed him, he said, well, that's the end of Willie McGee.
That's it. Oh my God. Okay, how about this? Let's lighten the load. Was there along with your parents and others, was there a Black guy, a Black lady who was the activist that stood up and wasn't taking no mess and so on and so forth?
Yes, our Shopton of our town was none other than Mrs. Susie B. Ruffin. Mrs. Susie B. Ruffin was the activist here in Laurel. I can remember my mother telling me the story about Mrs. Ruffin when she'll go up the stairs to register people to vote. And my mom at that time was working at a Cleaners. A Cleaners was right there in front of the courthouse. She said, Miss Susie will walk up those stairs and the sheriff them will bring her back out and then push her back down the courthouse steps. Now, man, that's about 15 steps, brick steps, cement steps. So they will push her back down. Mama said, Miss Susie will get up, dust herself back off, straighten her purse, straighten her gloves, straighten her hat, and just prance right back up those steps. So she was a civil rights. There's a street named after her, Susan B. Ruffin Avenue, where they called her the paper lady because she wrote our Black underground newspaper, as they say. She wrote the newspaper to tell you where the meetings would be, where we all was meeting, how much this would cost, how much that was cost. And so she was an activist. And so we have these papers here in Mississippi known as the Sovereign Papers. So inside these Sovereign Papers, they had lists of Black people who they were tracking, they meaning the government. The government was tracking, and Miss Susan was one of those. Miss Susan, Mr. Sam Simmons, Dr. Murph. So you had certain Black people, you had the reverends, the different preachers that they were tracking. And so these people names, the government was following them and wanted to know every move that they were making to know what the Black community was up to.
Whoa.
Yes.
How about this? Is there a Black guy who had a business that, other than maybe the funeral home director, I suspect, but were there like Black cleaners, party stores,
yes,
we
used to have Black cleaners, Mr. Williams. We have Black pharmacists, Larry Thomas. His dad started this pharmacy. As a matter of fact, Larry pharmacy is still in business. We had, like you said, the funeral business. We had the dentist. So Black people were prominent in what they were doing. We had our first Black hospital down in the Queensburg community where I live. We had the clinic, the hospital, all was right there. And of course, yes.
But okay, so but if you had to buy clothes and furniture, you had to go to the white guy and groceries and stuff.
That's right. You had to go down what was called Central Avenue. Central Avenue is known as the downtown district, which is still there today. Yeah. So you go downtown and you buy whatever you needed, but you did have like a little Black corner grocery store. So we did have a little Black corner grocery store where people went and bought little goods. We had a own gas station. We had a Black man owned a gas station. So we had Black people doing things in this town. We have, like I told you, we have a Black mayor. We have 4 Black council individuals.
What, I tell you the truth, I'm in Michigan, in Detroit. To me, Mississippi was the most scariest state.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I heard more of what happened in Alabama, with Birmingham and Montgomery and the bridge. But Mississippi seemed more notorious. Is that true or not true? What would you say your take on that is?
We have a town called Shabuta, Mississippi, where they have the famous, if you look it up, it's called the hanging bridge. They have this bridge where they actually will hang people on. They've hung a lady, and she was pregnant. And then they took time to cut the baby out of her. And so that town currently has a Black mayor. And so I'm looking forward to going to Shabuta and getting that place notarized in history. Let people know what happened. A lot of people like to just pass over history. Oh, that's not important. Like they told me, why you want to do this? Why you want to bring all this up? Let bygones be bygones. But history is important.
Yeah. And so you get that comment from Black people too, I'm sure.
I do. Why are you bringing this up? Let that alone. Those people gonna do something to you. I said, well, okay. All right. And I just keep it moving. Why you want to open a Black History Museum and bring all that up? Leave that alone. Leave it alone. It's history.
So, go ahead. What got you to be who you are, to like it? I mean, to commit your life like this?
Well, I've always been a collector of Black art. So even though, like I said, I'm a social worker, so I would collect things, be it books, like for instance, okay, here's one of my nice things I like.
Yeah.
This thing here.
Oh, really? Yeah.
He's called a nigger bank. You turn him on the back, you can see he's a nigger bank.
Whoa.
And see, this is the kind of history that our children need to see. You need to see that in Jim Crow, they mocked us and made things just like Mammy. I like Mammy. I collect Mammy dolls. People used to say, why are you collecting all them Mammy dolls? Well, because Hattie McDaniels, as she stated, I will play Mammy in Gone with the Wind. I would rather play Mammy in a movie and make more money than playing Mammy cleaning someone's house and make less money. So that made a lot of sense to me. So
I understand that theory.
Yeah, she was like a hero to me. So I would go around and collect Mammy dolls just to pay homage to her. Because you try to view it as something negative, but she viewed it as something positive.
I love it. Okay, how about this? Show me a Mammy doll.
She's a Mammy doll.
Mammy, because that means maid, right?
Maid, that's right.
Yeah.
Mammy was a maid. And so I people look at it as, Mammy, why you love this kind of stuff? A lot of people didn't like it, but I had it all over my apartments, and people were looking, why she got that? Even the white people used to come over to my house. And I used to explain it to them. And once you explain something, then people understand.
I do. I understand now that you say that way.
And so here's another nigger bank. That's another one.
Wow.
And another thing I like is this Uncle Tom book from 1905.
Wow.
The Uncle Tom really was an individual who educated people.
I heard that. Yeah, go ahead. Tell the story, though, please.
People call Uncle Tom who allegedly are against people or always telling on us. But Uncle Tom, really, he sat around and he listened, and then he took the information back to us. So he really was for our good when you really get down to investigating him. And another thing that I found recently, I got this recently, I think I carried it home, it's not here at the office, is those lawn jockeys. Remember those lawn jockeys?
Yeah.
See, we thought that's just a white person with a black man sitting in their yard.
Right.
But actually, the lawn jockey was used during the Underground Railroad. The lawn jockey would have a certain ribbon tied on him, either a red ribbon or a green ribbon. One ribbon would tell you, you can stop here, it is safe. One ribbon would say, pass through, because it's dangerous right now for you to stop. One ribbon would be blue to tell you, take the water. That's the escape. So that lawn jockey was a part of the Underground Railroad to give people. That's right.
And it was on white people's yard, so white people was one telling this.
That's right. They the one telling us, you can come in here for the night, you can find food here, you can sleep here, come on in, this is a safe haven. So they was looking for those lawn jockeys along the Underground Railroad routes.
Okay, let's go back just a tad here, because I jump around a little bit because the questions come to mind. When in your town, was it is there like an Underground Railroad locations and things like that?
No, not in Laurel. I haven't located any of that in Laurel, but we did have a slave trade, which was in Natchez, Mississippi.
Natchez, how far is that?
It's about 2 hours for me.
Okay.
So we did have, because they got a square of slave. They got the historical marker there to show you that this was a slave trade where they traded slaves in Natchez, Mississippi. And they have there in Natchez what's called the Devil's Punch Bowl. This was a community where we would say they dug, it was a trench. In other words, the people lived down the bluff, in other words. So they lived off in this bluff where they were slaves. And then when yellow fever broke out, they wouldn't let them out. So the people just died. They just died down in this bluff because the white people wouldn't let them back up. And now, I hear people say, if you go there, that land is very fertile. You go there, you see peach trees with big old peaches on it, plum trees, big old plums on it. But it was because it was fertilized by black bodies.
You left Minnesota to go to Minnesota.
Yes.
And what have you. Why a lot of people left the South, they couldn't take it no more, the injustices and stuff like that. Yeah. So on and so on. Well, why didn't y'all family leave?
Well, because like I said, my family had good jobs. See, everybody didn't have good jobs, but my mom and dad,
I got you.
They had a good job. They had good blue collar jobs. So wasn't no need to leave because, as I told you, when my parents died, they had acquired let's see, 1, 2, 5 homes that they
Yeah,
owned.
yeah,
They owned these pieces of property.
yeah. But you know of kids that you grew up with that they did leave.
Yes. Yeah. There are people when if I think in my mind
Yeah.
and go street, I can envision people who did leave and then come back. Yes. They went to St. Louis, they went to California. The girl across the street lived in Texas. So if I just go straight down my block,
yeah.
I can see it in my mind where those kids now live.
Yeah. When we as you talk about your love for Black history, you now dedicate your life because you started a museum. Tell us about the museum.
Well, in 2019, I came up with this idea with 4 other people. I have to give them their credit because
sure.
People always say, "Oh, she started this and she just forgot about it." But it was 4 other people with me when we started this at the downtown YWCO. So we did what was called YWCO. They don't call theirs YWCA because theirs is an organization. So it's not affiliated with the YWCA.
Oh, I see.
Yes. And so so the 4 of us came together to put on this exhibit just during Black History Month for just one day, where I brought out all of these memorabilia that I had in my home. And then we purchased like the banners in the sky to portray the different people. Like, for instance, here in Laurel, Mississippi, we have Dr. Deborah Hyatt, who's the #2 neuro brain surgeon in the United States of America. She's She's right here from Laurel, Mississippi. She's currently retired. She moved back home to Laurel, and she's still giving us her service. She still works. She works down at what's called the Ellisville State School, where the kids with disabilities. She works there now, still serving the public. So due to the fact that Laurel had so much rich history, I thought that maybe the world really needs to see what this is, what I saw. So I start in Egypt. A lot of people don't realize that Egypt is in Africa.
Yeah, that's right.
They're really shocked when they really figure out that Egypt is in Africa. They was like, "What? Egypt is in Africa?" Yeah, because I guess they never looked at a map.
Yeah.
And so that is why I start in Egypt, to let them see us as kings and queens.
Yes.
They don't realize King Tut was Black.
That's right.
Nefertiti is Black.
That's right.
They don't realize Cleopatra was Black. That's because your mind is stuck on Elizabeth Taylor in the movie Cleopatra.
That's right.
See, but when I put these facts on the table, and I put my brother's book from Africa that tells us all the kings and queens, the story, how he lays it out, so that you could see who we were. So I use the museum with not just putting a painting on the wall. I use pictures, I use books, I use artifacts. So I like to do a combination, not just you pass a painting and say, "Oh, what that say?" You can actually pick this book up and thumb through it for yourself.
I love it.
So when I start in Egypt, then I bring you to current day Africa, so you can see us in our fine clothes. You can see us with our nice kente cloth on. You could see people making kente cloth, that this is just not something we thought up. There's people who make this over in. So then we go on to slavery. So I put a picture of a slave ship. You see the ship coming to get the people. So then you get them on the ship. Then you get them in the United States and how they were treated. Like, say, I got a picture of President Washington with his slave. So he didn't just have this Black person just standing in the picture with him. That person was his slave.
That's right.
But people just, you see a painting and you like, "Oh, look at George Washington." Okay, now why George got that little black boy right there? So I want to provoke you to think of what is this all about. So then we go on to bring you to Frederick Douglass trying to help us, Harriet Tubman trying to help us, let us escape. So we move out to show us how we got away. But it just landed us into the little Jim Crow and sharecropping era. So I put the real cotton on the table so people can actually touch cotton. A lot of people never felt cotton. So I got cotton laying along the cotton field, bales of cotton, people out there picking cotton, pictures, so you can physically see these things. And like in Laurel, in Ellisville at the courthouse, we still have the 2 separate fountains that say colored and white. They're still standing right in front of the courthouse. Of course, they put a nice little plaque over it, to say, okay, the courthouse was erected in blah, blah, blah year. But if you move that plaque, you're going to see colored and white.
Really?
They're still sitting there. They're not operable, but they are still there. When you walk up to that courthouse, you see, if you know the history of those, you get to see that. And you get to see off to the right of you, the Confederate man standing in front of the courthouse. He stands in front of both of them. We have two jurisdictions, so Ellisville, Mississippi, and Laurel, Mississippi, but both of them have a Confederate soldier standing in front.
They're not trying to take them down?
Nobody's trying to take them down.
Yeah, trying to take
they
them down.
thought one time I was trying to take them down. I was having a community day of prayer. Let us all come together. That's when we had the big controversy about taking down the Confederate flag. I wasn't studying taking down the Confederate soldier. I was saying we all need to come together and pray. Let's not get so upset about this flag issue. If it comes down, it comes down, because it's time for a change. But when I and the group of people, when we marched from the center of town to the courthouse, and when we got to the courthouse, I have you know that it was white men standing there with guns. And so the police and the police department and the sheriff's department, they had to come out and patrol, because my people had guns too, because we had already heard that something might go down. But then I was wise enough to not march without people who didn't have our back. So we did have people who were military trained, and they did have their guns while marching. But when we got to that courthouse and we was playing stand up and take my people with me, the white folks were standing there with their guns, many of them. Even some was on top of the roofs of the buildings, standing in. Yeah, they were in trees. Just like they were going hunting. They were custom climbing trees, killing deer, because, we kill deer. So they were standing in trees with their guns, their rifles, but we didn't worry about it. We just prayed. I had different people. I had white preachers, black preachers, all denominations. And then one preacher, he said, Reb Knight, I never forget, Reb Knight had his gun too, but Reb Knight reached on his side. He said, I have my gun and I'm a preacher. He laid it down. He said, I'm finna lay it down. He laid his gun down on the platform and he walked over there to the white man and he extended his hand. He said, we are here for peace. We're not here to fight. We're not here to fight you by the flag. We are not here to tear down the Confederate soldier, which we know that you heard. That is not why we're here. And then they all shook hands. Of course, you had some who didn't shake hands, but we all came together in solidarity and shook hands, and we closed out, letting each other know, I'm not here to harm you, and I don't want you to harm me.
Oh!
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Okay, let's stay on that just for a second. The night before, were you scared?
Of course I was, because the police chief called me, Chief Cox. And Chief Cox called me and said, well, Marion, I got a call from whatever you call those people, the militia people. He said, I got a call from the militia. And the militia called me to say, Chief, you need us to come in and help? And Chief Cox was like, because Chuck Cox know me. He was like, come in and help. What exactly are you meaning? Well, I understand they finna tear down the Confederate soldier. Chief Cox said, no, if you knew Marion Allen, you would know that's not what she's for. The preacher is not here to tear down no Confederate soldier. She's coming in peace to pray. And that's all. And no, I don't need y'all. Please stand down. If you come down here, then I'll have to deal with it.
But they showed up anyway.
They showed up anyway. They came on their four-wheelers. They came in their trucks. They came with their guns. They came with their rebel flags. They came with all of that. They was all perched around the Confederate soldier. They all, took a stance all the way in front of that soldier, like we were there to tear it down. No, we wasn't there to tear it down. We were there to pray.
Okay, let me ask you this: when they shook hands, the blacks and the whites, did you cry then?
I did because to see a person lay his gun down and his Confederate flag down, that was very emotional to see that.
Sure.
To see that happen. They laid their gun down, they laid their flag down. And then one white man who had the Christian flag, he brought the Christian flag over there to one of the flag holders who had the Confederate flag, and he gave it to him. We all profess to be Christians here. Pick up this flag. Told him, pick up this flag.
Did it make the news? Did that make the news? This whole thing?
It made the news. It did. I made the news. I did. It did make the news. It sure did.
Because what is it like? Again, me being in the North, people say that, well, I like the South better because I know where they stand.
Right.
I don't like the North because they treat me bad, but they acting like they like me.
Right.
Is there something to that dynamic that gives you some solitude or something like that, living there?
Yeah, because you know how a person feels. Like I told you, when you walked over to some people to shake their hand, they just stood there with their hands at their side. So you know that person wasn't ready to break nor bend. So you know how they feel. So it's like, okay. And 9 times out of 10, when you see a car with a rebel flag, or you see a car with a snake in it that says, "Don't tread on me," when you see a car that has "Make America Great Again," when you see that, you know where they stand. So you don't have to try to figure it out because they're going to wear it. They're going to wear it with honor.
I see.
Just like I wear Black History. They know Marion Allen is about Black History. Marion is about Juneteenth. Marion is about anything Black. Not that I'm anti-white, because I got a lot, like last week, a lot of white people called to congratulate me on this Black History Museum, and I'm going to help you and do whatever I need to do. I said, oh, thank you.
I'm sure. Have you ever had a white guy who you thought was a staunch racist change his opinion and tell you he's sorry or any of that kind of thing?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I went into a meeting and I was talking to this white gentleman. We were dialoguing, and he said, "Miss Allen, I need to apologize to you." So I'm saying, oh, okay. He said, because I was told that it was you. I said, you were told it was me? Yes. And I was mistaken. It was not you. You didn't know anything about any of this. And I am here to apologize to you. That meant a lot because I didn't even know the man was, felt some type of way about me. I had not a clue till I went to him to ask him a question about something. Then he confessed he was harboring all of this hate for me. Just because.
But what was it? What was it about? He said, but it was not you. It was not you. What?
He meant that I was the intelligent one, and therefore I was writing up all of this information about this white man. But I wasn't writing anything to no law board. That wasn't me. Because they knew that I was intelligent. He said the briefs and things that were sent to the law board, Marion was writing them for this person. But I wasn't writing anything to get this man disbarred. I didn't know anything about it. I said I didn't know anything.
That was a story. Okay, I got you. I got you. That was a story. Have your parents seen you? When you said your dad died in 2019, he saw what you had become. And your mom saw what you had become.
Oh, yes. They would always just, we're going to pray for you because we can't stop you because this is in you. And we're proud of you for bucking lines and doing things. To be an activist, this is just in you. And we taught y'all to stand up and you just took it to a whole nother level. We taught y'all to go to school, get your education, but you got your education and you flipped your education to use it to help Black people.
Could you imagine, to some extent, what somebody like Ida B. Wells was going through,
It's about
and them kind of people, and also, and you can, I don't know how you answer this. This your answer. Could you have given your life for this?
yes, because it's just that important. Because, like say, putting that lynching marker out there whenever it arrives, it got to come from Ohio. Whenever it arrives, a lot of people were afraid for me to even get that marker put out there. I was like, I'm not afraid, but you may be standing out there and something may happen to you. I said, well, just pray. Just pray that don't nothing happen to me. And so I didn't have a spirit of fear, but if something was to happen, then I just laid my life down to make this happen. Because it needs to be known. A lot of people didn't even know that this black man was strung up in a tree downtown Ellisville. And I was like, wow. Because I would just ask people randomly, did you ever know about the lynching? Black people, white people, sitting in a restaurant downtown Ellisville. Just ask them. They'll say, no, I didn't know anything about that. Then I proceed to tell them the story. And I said, well, just Google it on your phone. You'll see it. Because everybody.
As we come almost to a close, let's say, what accolades have you gotten? Who knows you and that kind of thing? I know you said you've been in the paper. Have you gotten awards? Let's brag on you, please.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that happened to me when I went to Alabama. When I went to the Legacy Museum, with Brian Stevenson.
Yeah.
So the gentleman who made the movie 100 Years from Mississippi about his mother and the lynching.
Yeah.
So I was just sitting in the audience. Of course, I went up to Mr. Toomber to tell him that, hello, my name is Marion. I'm from Laurel, and I'm trying to get the lynching marker for Mr. Hartfield. So during the viewing of this movie, afterwards, they even had me to stand up.
Oh my God.
In a room full of strangers in Alabama at the museum. I was like, oh my God. I mean, for Brian Stevenson to say, and what you're doing, young lady, we're going to help you. We're going to help you. Because they have what's called a lynching marker. Now, I was highlighting John Hartfield, but actually here in Jones County, there are 4 other people, and they have a marker that they would like to give to a town so that you can put this marker up. So, like I said, last week, I just recently acquired a home to place this museum. Instead, now it won't have to be mobile. See, it's just been a mobile museum, traveling from churches to schools to community affairs. But last week, I was able to be given a home by a white gentleman, downtown Laurel.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Downtown Laurel. 2 minutes from City Hall, 2 minutes from the courthouse. Probably not 2 minutes, probably 1 minute. This white gentleman, I messaged him on Facebook. And he was like, you feel some kind of way when you try to just do something out of your norm, just message a stranger, So I messaged him and he said, send me your phone number. I sent him my phone number. He called me back. I was at lunch. He called me back. He said, tomorrow, can you meet me at the house? I said, yes, sir. I met him down there. He's a nurse practitioner. Met him down there. He said, this house has been empty for several years. He said, and I've been watching you. He said, remember that day you was on the highway with the news station talking about the marker? I said, yes. He said, across the street, there's an automotive place. I said, yes. He said, I own that. He said, and I was outside and I was listening to you. And I said, wow, she's a preacher. She's a fighter. And so he said, I like what you do and I'm going to help you. He said, I know that they may want you down, cross town, down in the cut, somewhere over there. He said, but no, I want you uptown. Sure did. And I got a 2. It's upstairs. It has about 20 rooms in it. Yes. And the good story about that, when I was little with my mother, we used to clean up this house. It was a law firm then. And so my mother and I worked there. So I was the help. And now I have received help for Laurel Jones County Black History Museum.
So now, hold on, you call it Laura Jonestown. How did you name it to what you
I
named
call it Laurel Jones County because I'm including history of Laura as well as individuals in Jones County.
I
County,
got you.
yeah, that's our county. Because one of the things in Jones County, you might have heard of the movie The Free State of Jones. We have a movie which was about Newt Knight, who was the white gentleman who bucked against the Civil War. And Newt Knight also had a girlfriend named Rachel who was black. He was married to a white woman, girlfriend named Rachel, black lady. So he had children over here by Rachel. And then eventually when Rachel died, he married one of Rachel's children, which wasn't his child. He married one of Rachel's daughters. And those people who are still here in Jones County, Mississippi, are descendants of Newt Knight, who was one of the revolts against the Civil War and having slaves here in Mississippi. That's why it's called the Free State of Jones, because Jones County seceded from the Union. So that's why, just like Red Fox's mother is from Jones County, Ellisville, Mississippi. Another famous person, we all hear about Leontine Price, the opera singer, Laura, Mississippi. You hear her brother, who was Brigadier General George Price, 4-star general, Laura, Mississippi. Ralph Boston, an Olympic champion, gold, silver, and bronze. We have Mr. Lee Garner, who was one of the famous Harlem Globetrotters. See, so the history that people don't know, I want to bring it to the forefront so that everybody will know there are a lot of rich Black history in this town.
Do you all celebrate Juneteenth as Emancipation Day, or is there another day?
Juneteenth, I just started that 2 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I just got a Juneteenth festival started here in Laurel, where I received a proclamation from the mayor. I presented him with a canvas painting called Juneteenth by Cynthia St. James. So I presented the mayor with the painting of Juneteenth, and he was so happy. And so I received a proclamation from the city of Laurel about starting Juneteenth. So this is just my second year of doing that here.
Okay. Do y'all, I'm lighting it up as we come to a close. Do y'all eat some kind of food different than, I mean, there's a lot of, you said deer. Y'all eat a lot of deer down there, a lot of fish, a lot of okra, whatever. Anything special in the diet because of where you're located?
Well, just like when you look at soul food, we have a soul food restaurant here called Miss Pearl. Miss Pearl, who she serves the Southern cuisine, like the greens and the cornbread, the black-eyed peas, and okra and all of that, you know, and I'm coming to realize that those things are not new to us. We're just getting an understanding. It's just called something different when you go to Africa, but it still came across the ocean with them.
Yeah, right.
So, a lot of things, like you said, the deer meat. My dad and my brothers are avid hunters, fishermen, so we go deer hunting. A fish, rabbit, squirrel, all of that is, rabbit, squirrel. Not like the little pet rabbit that you may see in the museum. No, but they do eat rabbit. You do eat squirrel. You do eat deer meat. Well, we call it venison, but it's deer meat. And so you take this deer sausage and you cut it up and you make the tenderloins, you make the steak, you make the ground beef, and then you put you some good old cheese in the midst of that sausage meat, and jalapeno peppers. Oh man, you got you some good eating. Just get you some bread.
and sweet tea. Is a lot of sweet tea.
Sweet tea, that's right, sweet tea. But you know, all of my ailments, I'm learning to try to push back from some of that now.
Yeah, that sugar and stuff like that. Yeah. Is there a question that I have not asked you? Something to come to mind?
I look forward to people from all over the world helping me bring this adventure to light. I want to have this Laura Jones County Black History Museum up and running, and so individuals can email me to send a donation, or even send an email to send a letter. Just drop a good old post of money order in the mail to help a sister out to get this Black History Museum up and running. And you can just find me on Facebook. I'm just plain old Marion Allen on Facebook. And also on Facebook, I have a listing for the Laurel Jones County Black History Museum and Arts. I know that's a mouthful, but I want to make sure I get everything in there of what we're trying to portray.
Did you have a website?
No, we don't have a website, but you can just go to.
I'm gonna help you get a website.
Yeah, they got to build all of that. They got to build a website. That's why
it take one night. I can get you started.
I get Godson.
Yeah, it's real easy. I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Let me tell you something. And I've done this. I've done this one other time, maybe once or twice, where somebody said made me cry.
Wow.
You made me cry today.
Thank you.
I got an icon on my channel, everybody. I got an icon on my channel. She made me cry.
It's God.
She's giving up her life for strangers.
Yes.
And some people don't appreciate it. And you're going to keep doing it for them anyway.
That's right. We're going to keep on moving. We're going to keep on going. Because I will not be stopped. Just like I tell people, I move by what God told me to do. Even though there's negativity from some of those people who started a lot out with me. Now they are now attacking me. But I can't worry about that because this is bigger than me. See, I have realized that this is bigger than me. I have to move myself out the way. I am out the way because Black history is here for not just Black people, it's here for all people to learn, to understand, to get knowledge. This will live beyond Marion Allen living. If I got 50 more years here on earth, this museum will be standing when I'm dead and gone. Because everybody needs to know where you came from so you'll know where you're going. So you know where you're going. You got to freely give of yourself. Like I tell people, I'm a social worker, I'm a mother, I'm a preacher. Now I'm a curator for a museum. I didn't start out doing this. I started out just collecting art because I enjoyed it. I enjoy having these things in my home. And now I've given of myself, given of my art so that the world can see. Like the man that gave me the bill and said, Miss Allen, this is bigger than you. This is going to be international. You can't see down the road. He said, but I see that this is greater than you. And I appreciate what you're trying to do. He appreciates what I'm trying to do. And that just warmed my heart. I mean, I've been out here, I tell you, I've been out here. One time we had I say this before we close, we had a march in a town called Whitman, Mississippi. We had a march to downtown to their courthouse, about fighting for injustice. A young man in that town was killed by the police. He was on his horse. And the same thing happened in that town. We marched from the center to the center of town. We got there, the streets filled, white people with guns. But we couldn't be afraid. We couldn't turn around. Now the police was there to protect us, but what could they do for us? Just same thing, just like in Laurel when we marched. I mean, I didn't know or realize that people had that much anger and animosity built up to come to the streets with guns. I mean, wow. It's like, and to be honest, I didn't even notice the guns. God just shielded my eyes to conduct this program. And I just didn't even pay attention to them with the guns, to have that fear. Now, after I played the video back, I was able to say, oh, they had guns. I didn't realize it because I wasn't allowed to see them because I was producing a program. And I didn't worry. I didn't have a fear. If so, I didn't know. I just did what was called for me to do. And so that's what we do from town to town, go and march and help and just do. It's nothing strange for me.
Everybody, this is what I do here, Strong Inspirations. I find these people. Sometimes they make me cry. And so hit the subscribe button. Come on now. If there was a love button, hit that.
Amen. Amen.
Just hit the like button.
We want to
hit
have
the notifications bell. Hit the tell somebody about Strong Inspirations.
Yes.
Check this out. I'm gonna help her get a website. It'll be up real soon. And follow her. We're gonna put it all in the description and stuff. Follow her. And the name of it is, say it again.
Laurel, Jones County, Black History Museum and Arts.
And Laurel is Laure.
Laurel.
Rel. I'm sorry. Yes. Everybody, there you go. You got your marching orders. Thank you so very much for coming on the show. I don't know how I found you. I think I Googled something and it came up and I sent it and you said okay immediately without hesitation. I'm so grateful that you did, that you took out the people to hear this, and I want people, we're going to share it all the time.
Please do.
This video. I say this with all sincerity. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love what you're doing. I love that you have become who you have become because something sparked in you over time and periods, what have you, to make you who you are. Your parents did this, your environment, your circumstances, what you read, what people said to you, made you be this way.
Yes.
And you were smart enough to take the mantle.
Yes.
Without hesitation, I'm sure. Without trepidation, I'm sure. Without fear.
Yes.
I'm sure. I said it, and I'll say it again and close out on this. You an icon. Thank you again for coming on Strong Inspirations.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. Bye-bye.